Imagine having to allow your ex-spouse unsupervised visitation rights and then have them disappear with your children to a country like Saudi Arabia or Lebanon or Syria. This past week, some of those frightened and angry parents testified before Congress. Let's go to Fox News Central and Kiran Chetri for an update on this very disturbing story.
Rita, it's a nightmare that American families are living each day. Now lawmakers on Capitol Hill are getting a taste firsthand from the people who are living it. Children kidnapped by their fathers and taken to Saudi Arabia. American mothers with no recourse and little help from our government. Lawmakers heard tearful testimony from Ethel Stowers, whose 2 grandchildren are in Saudi Arabia. Their mother, Monica, is also there, trying to get her ex-husband to release their daughter.
My granddaughter's father has threatened to destroy her as soon as he can get Monica out of the country. He wants to have her. He wants to kill her because she won't marry anybody that he chooses for her. At age 12, he tried to marry her off. Well, he did marry her off to an older man, a terrorist, and she ran away.
The House Government Reform Committee is now looking into the problem. Under Saudi law, husbands have extraordinary power over their wives and children. The wives cannot leave Saudi Arabia, especially with their children, without written permission from the husband. And it's an issue we'll likely be hearing more about, Rita. The committee chairman, Dan Burton, promised the people who testified that he'll start by sending a letter to the president. Burton saying, quote, "We will not let this rest. We'll do everything we can to get this resolved." Now, President Bush met with the Saudi foreign minister this week. Families were hoping Mr. Bush would bring up the issue of the Saudi kidnappings. That did not happen. The White House saying the issue would be better handled by the State Department. I'm Kiran Chetri in New York. Rita, back to you.
All right, Kiran, thank you very much. And joining us now is Michael Wilds. He's a U.S. immigration attorney who was instrumental in helping a number of women get their children back. He's also a 2-term city councilman in Englewood, New Jersey. And also joining us on the phone is Maureen DeBaugh of childrenabduction.org, whose daughter was abducted in 1992 and is reportedly now being shuttled between Saudi Arabia and Syria. Maureen, thank you so much for being with us first on the phone.
Thank you. Thank you for asking me.
Tell us about the story. What happened in your case real briefly?
I married a Syrian national. It was a very whirlwind courtship, produced a child. The marriage ended after 3 years, and I was awarded sole custody. Visitation was held at abeyance. He was not to know where we were at because of extreme cruelty. And about 6 months after the judge issued this final order, he went back into court and he wanted custody. And at that point, the judge allowed him a 1-month unsupervised visitation out of state with the 2-year-old. And I cried and I begged and I pleaded, and I had revealed to the court repeatedly that he had threatened to take her abroad and I would never see her again. And indeed, that did happen.
And how many years ago was that?
That was in 1992.
All right. Maureen, please stand by, because also joining us now is Mary Huber. She was formerly Mary Hamada, and whose 3 daughters were returned to her 2 years ago, appropriately, on Father's Day. Mary, thank you for being with us also. How did you get your children back?
It basically was working with the FBI and the State Department. The FBI was instrumental in getting the children back. Also, my lawyer, Michael Wilds, at the time was really instrumental in coordinating everything. It was very confusing for
Were you
her mother.
surprised how difficult it was?
It was incredibly difficult. I was shocked. It was the worst moment of my life, and I didn't know what to do.
Michael Wilds, you represented and helped her in this case, and you've also had some pretty good successes. You also helped free some other children from Syria, brought them back to their parents here. What works and what doesn't work in this case?
Rita, these cases are heartbreaking. Mary came to me about 2.5 years ago at a conference with a picture of her 3 daughters, saying that my Palestinian husband absconded with 3 of my daughters, went to Lebanon, and I can't get him because he's in a Palestinian camp. What works? Right now, unfortunately, we have so many different jurisdictions within the United States, and such a difference between the confluence of state law enforcement and federal law enforcement. These good mothers and fathers get lost in the system. What really works is leveraging the laws that we have and making sure that the State Department acts as the father instead of our citizens who can't reach their children overseas. The State Department for years now has continually bartered children for oil, military installations, instead of advocating for their interests.
And in fact, I'd like to show for our viewers, I was startled by some of this information. This is a list of what the State Department can do in cases like this. They can, quote, they can act as a primary point of contact for left-behind parents. They can attempt to locate, visit, and report on the child's general welfare. They can provide the left-behind parent with information on the country to which the child was abducted. And they can also assist parents in contacting local officials in foreign countries or contact them on the parent's behalf. But now this is interesting. This is what the State Department cannot do. They cannot intervene in civil legal matters between the parents. They cannot enforce an American custody agreement overseas. They cannot force another country to decide a custody case or enforce its laws in a particular way. And they cannot take custody of the child and revoke the child's passport. How tough is this?
They can do those things if they want to. These are U.S.-born children, American citizens.
So why are they not? Is it politics, you're saying?
It's business, it's politics, it's because children, mothers take a back seat sometimes to oil and military installations, and it's just not acceptable today. We see now in Saudi Arabia, a country where we learned 15 of the 19 hijackers hailed from, where we have 250 active U.S. companies and 37,000 American workers living there and bearing the fruits of extraordinary business. It is unconscionable in this day that these children are still stuck there, and Congress and the President have to march together where these mothers have not been successful.
And in fact, I'd like to talk to one of the mothers. Maureen, I'd love to get your reaction, because even just this past week, I mean, President Bush met with a number of officials, including the Saudi foreign minister, and in that particular case, we're told he didn't even bring up any of these cases. Are you astounded by that?
I'm not really astounded.
Are you frustrated, I'm sure, by that?
Well, yes. I mean, I've been doing this for 10 years now, and I have seen a great evolution occur from the time my child was gone until today, so it's not like the issue has stagnated. There are a lot of complexities, and I agree with Michael Wilds, and that is that there's so much compartmentalization that it's very difficult to move your case forward. Like Mary, the FBI and those agencies falling under our U.S. Department of Justice were incredibly instrumental in my case.
And now you even went on a hunger strike, right? You went to some pretty extreme measures.
Yes, there's probably not much I haven't tried.
And did those help? Did those gain any attention?
No, it didn't. And what's really frustrating is my child is not a Saudi. My ex-husband is not a Saudi, and I have an Islamic custody order from the Syrian courts. So this is what's really frustrating. The embassy has spoke with my ex-husband. They know where he works. It's just, it won't be enforced.
All right, and real briefly, just about 5 seconds, Michael.
Mary was very lucky that the FBI put together the sting operation. We must not only prosecute those that would abduct the children, but those that would aid and abet it, and make sure that we stop those family members from coming here and getting U.S. visas.
All right.
That has to be done.
All right, Michael, we appreciate it. Also, Mary and Maureen, thank you, all of you, for your time, and we appreciate you being with us on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you.
And up next, we'll have the gracious and also hardworking Alma Powell in a rare and candid interview. Find out what the wife of the Secretary of State is up to. And then it's been 30 years since the Watergate scandal rocked the Nixon White House. We'll talk to the former president's brother when we return.
2 hours of hard riding, and I was hurting. So I took control with Advil. Not Tylenol, not Aleve. Nothing's proven stronger or last longer than Advil.
You have the strength to get rid of pain. Take control. Take Advil.
America trusts America Online to make everything easy.
It's just real simple to keep in touch with AOL.
Oh, I love hearing you've got mail.
Instant messages are so much fun.
And now AOL makes it easier to get health information with WebMD.
I discovered WebMD.
WebMD is America's leading source of health information online. Communities on everything from diabetes to weight loss.
Love the chat room.
A site that I trust.
AOL has got it all.
Now's the perfect time to experience America Online. So easy to use, no wonder it's #1. Call 1-800-4ONLINE.